most people get into trading because they want to be able to replace their job. And people often ask other people how long it took them to become profitable because they want to know how long it's going to take them to leave their job. And some people also question whether it would be helpful for them to just leave and pursue trading. So in this video, I'm going to give you a technique that you can use personally to work out for you if it will be best to leave or to stay in your job. Now, whether you leave your job to pursue trading is going to be a very personal decision. So it's very hard to give a blanket statement of you should leave or you should stay. So this technique here, this video is going to be very objective. It's not about opinions, I hope. I'm going to try not to give my own opinion, but what I do want to do is give you a way for you to come to your own decision. So this is going to use a technique called a cost benefit analysis, and some of you may have already come across this already. But what you do is you think about leaving your job, because that is what you are questioning, and you list all the benefits that would come from that, as well as all the potential costs or negatives. And not only that, you don't just list these things. Next to each point, I want you to rate on a scale from 1 to 10 how good that benefit would be. So 1 is not good, 10 is very good, as well as how bad the costs would be on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is it would be okay and 10 would be very bad. Doing a cost benefit analysis or pros and cons list in this way is very helpful, because not only do you have a list of pros and cons, you also have a quantifiable way of measuring this as well. So you're placing like a value on it as well, which also helps, especially for us traders who are quite logical, rational, and we like numbers. So I'll give examples. I'll try and give as much examples as I can so that it can apply to you. But of course, everybody is individual. Everybody's circumstance is different based on their age, based on their monthly outgoings, their mental health, and their goals. Okay. So as an example, let's say, for example, you are considering leaving your job, and maybe as an example, a positive would be that you would have more time. So you could pursue trading full time. So you would write that down, pursue trading full time. And remember, we are going to quantify how good this is. And again, that will vary from person to person, but I want you to do this for yourself. So on a scale from 0 to 10, I did say 1 to 10 before, but let's say 0 to 10. How good would that be for you to have full-time freedom to pursue trading full-time? Maybe that might be an 8. Maybe another benefit would be no more stress from work, maybe if work was stressing you out. So you'd write that down, no more stress from work. How important is that for you? Now that will vary depending on how stressful work has been for you, your level of burnout, the impact that stress has on your mental health and well-being. So again, that will vary. Maybe we'll give that a 10. Okay, and let me just give one more example. Maybe another benefit of leaving your job now would be you don't have to deal with the people. Okay, so don't have to deal with the people. And how good would that be? Maybe that's a 9. Okay, Now let's consider the negatives. So again, the negatives of leaving your job is going to be based on you. So these examples may or may not apply to you, but maybe one negative might be you will have no income. So in that way, like, you're not cash flowing, there's no new money coming in. And how bad would that be for you? Now again, that will vary depending on if you live at home with your parents and you don't have to pay anything, or if you live with someone who provides for you and pays all the bills, or if actually you have multiple bills and you need to pay for them. So let's say, for example, let's say it's a 5 for whatever reason. Maybe it's not that bad. And let's say another consequence of leaving your job would be, maybe, again, this may or may not apply for you, but it might be the fact that you're actually leaving a career and what that means for you. So leaving a career that might affect your reputation. It might make it harder for you to go back. So that, on a scale from 0 to 10, that might be quite, it depends on how you view it. Again, this is really hard for me to give examples because this may or may not apply to you. And even if it does happen, it might not be that bad, because you might be, well, you know what, I know I'm not going back, so it doesn't matter that I leave. So again, I'm not sure, so let's call it a 5. And let's get one more consequence. Let's say another consequence might be that you just don't leave the house. You're not leaving the house anymore. Yeah. Not leaving the house. How bad is that? Maybe it's not that bad because you can still leave the house to do other things. You could go for a walk, you could go to the coffee shop, you could work in a working space maybe. So we'll give that a 2. These are all examples, okay? So as I said, what you write down might be different to the examples I've given. And also, if what you write down is the same, the impact of it numerically might be different to the number I've given it to. But what you then do is you add up all of the scores for the pros and then for the cons. And this exercise, it helps to objectify and quantify how bad it would be if you left versus how good it would be, and which one outweighs the other. And often you find that this exercise actually sometimes confirms what you were already thinking, but it's just a nice extra level of confirmation. You know that you've paid attention to this question you have of, should I leave the job? And you've listed out the pros and cons. You've put a value on each of those pros and cons. And now you know, sort of objectively, whether you should leave or not. And at this point, it's not to say that you should then leave or stay, but it's about identifying, based on this exercise, what should your next step be? Let's say it works out that there are way more benefits, for example, of you leaving. Then it's about you thinking, okay, what should my next step be? Should it be immediately that I hand in my notice with immediate effect? Or am I actually happy to work my notice period? Is it okay if I do that? Or should it be that I just start to look for other work, maybe? Should it be that I save a bit more so that I can live off my savings? So again, it's really personal to you. Now, on the other hand, if you realise that actually it's better for you to stay in your job, is there anything you can do to make that experience of staying in your job better for you and more conducive of your longer term goals? Do you need to have a meeting with your manager to discuss your workload or any issues that you're having? Do you need to do anything differently in terms of how you work? Do you need to maybe have a bit more work-life balance? Do you need to think about what you do outside of work so that you can manage stress? So I find this to be a really helpful technique. I love doing this for myself. So whenever I have to make a decision, I will do this exercise. And as I say, often it might just confirm what I was already thinking intuitively, but it's a nice sort of black and white way of seeing on paper what I should be doing. So I hope you're finding this video helpful. I know the trading journey isn't always linear. There's actually a whole learning curve and a whole process. But if you are really thinking about leaving your job, try this exercise and see if it helps you.